Good evening, everybody here on Randomania for the Quattro. Pleasure to bring you some free Enterprise action here tonight. We have got a Stone Dingley and Zilch going up against each other in Game 2 of this best of 3 set. We have got Yofus Mano here handling the tracking. We've got Asuka doing the restream, and I am joined in the commentary booth with my co-commentator here. How you doing tonight, Karant, excuse me. I practiced beforehand and I still messed it up.
I'm doing quite well, aside from solipsisms here. It's a great evening to be here tonight. Thank you guys for joining us for this race on Randomania 4. Now chat's going crazy too. Yeah, this match was really, really hyped last night between Zilch and Stone Dingley. I got to catch it last night / this morning, and if you guys haven't watched match 1, even though you can look and see that shiny Cecil telling you who won, go back and watch that match from last night. It was fantastic, and I think we're going to have another great one here tonight.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's just going to get closer and closer as we go through the tournament at this point. We're to the best of the best in this tournament. And yeah, results like that are going to become more and more regular. So definitely get hype going forward. We've got Iridia start here tonight. I am always a fan of Iridia start. I think she's one of the more interesting characters in Free Enterprise. I like to think of her as sort of the magical equivalent of Cecil, since her long-term performance is really based on what kind of item drops you get. You really want some of those summons. She does naturally learn the same black magic that Palom does, though on a significantly higher experience curve, so she's a little less maybe desired in the end game, but since she's the starting character, our runners are going to have to use her tonight.
Yeah, in the seats that I've seen so far, I've seen Iridia primarily uses a slingshot. But definitely, if you find particularly Sylph, or if you wander over to Mount Hobbs and get a good free summon, which you can, then yeah, Iridia can have a lot of utility out the gate. Let's see. So, looks like we got some interesting names on Stone Dingley's side.
Yes, definitely an Ultima fan over there, and I certainly approve. I'm a big old school CRPG player, so I like that. We'll have to wait and see what Zilch has decided to name his characters, but yeah, these objectives very interesting. Everything is going to be gated behind a key item here tonight.
Absolutely. That actually draws back to a little bit to last night's match, so I wonder if the runners are thinking about that as they get started.
And the important thing here, who is going to be our second character? It's Yang. Wouldn't be surprised if both characters decide to just send him over to the Tower of Wishes for now. That Baron key, though, that is a very interesting starting item.
Yep. It'll definitely give runners a little bit of pause as they go through the overworld. I certainly don't think they're going to try to take anything on in Baron right now, but it will certainly direct how they go after maybe they do some character checks and get a few levels on them to get themselves shored up a bit.
Yeah, precisely. It's always an interesting decision to be made when you've got that Baron key and your only route into the underworld is the hook. Then it becomes, well, do I just follow this hook route, or I'm going to try to press a little further here into Baron, see if I can maybe rustle up another key item. And that Odin spot, even though it's technically out of logic for access to the underworld, if there's a free or relatively free boss there, I might be cheeky and check it early.
Yeah, you very well could see that. And we've got our runners diverging already as Stone Dingley goes to check out Baron, and Zilch makes the same starting play that he made last night, which is to go ahead and raid the Fabul Castle, or not Fabul, I'm sorry, I got my names mixed up, but to raid Edge's castle, essentially, and Evelyn, there we go. My geography failed me for a second, sorry.
It's quite all right. But yeah, I really, really like this play. It's very bold. There is a pretty decent level of the treasure available here in Evelyn Castle, and we talked about how, Iridia is, very reliant on getting those high-level summons, which could pop up in some of these chests. So I really like this. Already paying off. We find a rune bangle in there, which Iridia is definitely going to enjoy as she becomes more of a caster. So not so bad so far.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it served Zilch pretty well last night, too, from what I can remember. I did notice that we saw Eddie sitting at the watery pass. So unfortunately, he's probably going to spend all of his time hanging around with all the other discarded characters in Mysidia. But still, good to get the character check out of the way at the very least.
Yep, and also finding a Stardust item, which is a really, really good consumable early on, especially when character damage can be a little shaky. Starting off with just Iridia is certainly one of those situations, but yeah, it can be really useful, especially if one of those bosses ends up being multi-target affair. Can take care of that really quickly.
Right. Oh, and we found a ribbon in there too. That's going to serve very well.
Yeah, both not an item that's necessarily going to catapult you into levels of power, but certainly one that's lovely to have. That status immunity, the really huge magic defense, really, really good item.
Yeah. So it's interesting just seeing these divergences already. Of course, you mentioned that this is a little bit of an unorthodox play from Zilch, but he seems to like it a good deal. He was talking about it last night and seems to really favor it. We see Dingley going over to check and see who the character is. And let's see who we have waiting. And I believe that's a Kane.
I believe you are correct.
Yes.
Not a bad character. I'm not sure if Dingley is going to recruit him just yet because we haven't found anything too amazing. Well, I take it back. I think he found a Flame Lance in the Watery Pass or something of that level. I believe I saw a Lance. I want to say it was Flame.
Yeah,
Flame Lance. Okay, yeah, taking that Kane right away. So now he's got a little bit of protection and some physical damage here for Iridia.
Oh, sure, yeah. If you can find good stuff for Kane early on, he's definitely a very potent character to have, because not only do you have a good source of physical damage, but you've got maybe not quite as much physical fortitude as, say, if you'd found a Cid, but he can certainly serve pretty well in that capacity with the heavy armor, being able to take a few blows.
Right you are. Now here's a check we don't see very often, heading to Mount Hobbs to get that item, or excuse me, to get that free summon for Iridia. It's just Cockatrice. I've got a strong suspicion we will never see this called.
Yeah, unfortunately, no. It's a summon that I've not seen used in the tournament, and as my familiarity outside of the tournament is not all that much with this game, I don't remember it terribly well from the base game, but I suspect it's one of Iridia's very early ones.
Yeah, there's actually a really good reason, if you're familiar with the base game, you wouldn't really know it. It's there were 4 summons Iridia can learn that have to be dropped from enemies, and they have such an extraordinarily low drop chance that most people don't even realize they exist. All of them also are relatively useless, so that would probably be why. But yeah, that would drop from the Cockatrice enemies. I think it has a chance of casting Stone on a single target, so yeah, not very good.
Yeah. Well, as chat's pointing out, it is good against enemies that don't have the boss bit. So that actually can be employed against some of the bosses that we see in this game, such as, say, the Dark Imps or the second form of the Dark Elf, or etc. So there's a few applications for it. It looks like we had ourselves a Kane up on Ordeal, so Zilch chose to not take said Kane at the moment. But right now, looks like Zilch is in the process of sort of repeating some of the checks that Dingley had done earlier. We get to see the couple of characters over here in Mysidia. And Dingley picked up an Odin summon for Iridia and went ahead and used it, so we will see Odin perhaps in play. And do you like your Cecils, everybody? We just found 2 of them in Mysidia. Holy mackerel. We do have the vanilla agility on in this seed, which means that if either of those Cecils are taken, well, then they become the base for your agility no matter what. It does not matter what other character you have. So Cecil has, generally speaking, not been taken as often in this tournament. Now, if you're able to find really good holy weapons for Cecil, say an Excalibur or Crystal Sword, then any Cecil is good Cecil. But outside of that, you can generally employ Cecil for agility purposes. And speaking of agility, it's a good thing to have agility against the Ogopogo that we find here. Kane goes to work against it on Dingley's side, and that jump is paying some pretty good dividends. Good enough that Ogopogo goes down in a heap, so it looks like Antlion is taken care of for Dingley, and we will see what he picks up from that. So well done on Dingley's side to go ahead and have Kane just go nuts on it, and it proved to be very effective. And we have ourselves, oh boy, we have ourselves an open treasury. We have ourselves access to the Tower of Zot very early, although I don't see our characters taking that on quite yet. That opens up the possibility for Dingley to do a treasury check very early, and we'll see if he does decide to do that. And yeah, he's heading straight there. Not a surprise at all. All right, so it looks like Zilch is going over to pick up the free summon to grab that Cockatrice for Iridia as well. And as Dingley is heading forward, it's time for everybody's favorite game. Rate that treasury. So let's see what we have here. Assassin Dagger, Coffins, Sorcerer's Robe, Heal, Moonveil, Elixir, and a Ninja Sword it looked like. So it was a rather bare treasury, unfortunately. The Sorcerer's Robe is good, but I don't know if there's a whole lot else that I would be particularly excited about. It's sad to see a treasury that bare. Drat you, Sparse 60. Alright, meanwhile, Zilch is doing his checks on Hobbs, and Dingley is going to do a little shopping while he's here in Troya, which is, a good move to have, obviously. Want to make sure that you get the items that you're looking for while you're in the area. And it looks like Zilch is going to go ahead and take on the Wyvern here at Hobbs. Interesting. Unfortunately, did not get that Star Bell off in time, so oops to him. But the good news is he did in fact save, so he didn't lose very much on that. And he's going to go ahead and turn down that encounter rate, and looks like he's going to take on the Wyvern again. So he is going to go ahead, it looks like, and pick up, I believe it was Palom that we saw there. I have to check where the ponytail's going here. Yes, that looks like, let's see, I believe that's Palom. Yeah, that's Palom, okay. Just making sure I had the ponytails right. It's a little hard to see from about 50 feet away, which is where my TV is. All right, so we will get that Star Bell up, and it's going to be up in time this time. So I think we should be good to go on Zilch's side. All right, so it got off on one character, and Wyvern goes down in a heap. So Kane's going to get that experience. Was trying to get the experience on Palom. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out, but still, that'll do for Kane. Meanwhile, Dingley is making his way up ordeals and is going to find out that, well, Kane, meet Kane. Can't you tell it's a good time on both sides? Alright, so Zilch is about to head into the Antlion Cave and end up finding the Ogopogo and that Earth Crystal. Meanwhile, Dingley looks like he's going to go ahead and check the characters at Mysidia and discover the joys of Twin Cecil. I'll be curious to see if Dingley takes either of them. I doubt he will. In fact, he resets out. Wow. So not only doesn't take them, doesn't even want to see the scene, just instantly rejects the Cecils completely out of hand. Looks like he saved over in Fabul. So pretty smart play from him, saving in, being able to go back to Fabul quickly.
Yeah, some very heads-up play there, knowing he wanted to get the routing and Fabul in there, and we've seen a lot of creative use of save points by runners throughout this tournament. It's been really fun to see.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I've become more familiar with as I've gotten more accustomed to the randomizer through this tournament is the different routing plays that these runners make, and especially, of course, now that we're in the top 16 and we are getting to the best of the best. Some of the galaxy brain plays that these folks make, holy mackerel, it's really amazing to see. All right, so we have ourselves Baron Guards over at the Fabul Defense. That Cockatrice actually could get some usage here.
Yeah, Baron Guards very famously do not have the boss bit, which provides immunity to most status effects. Cockroachers would be able to one-shot him here, but Kane doing plenty of damage here on his own with that jump, so no need to fiddle with the low accuracy of that summon spell.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially doing 2,000 on that second one. Holy mackerel.
Yeah, must have had Mute Knife, I believe, equipped there, because those Baron Guards actually have the Mage type. And picking up the Earth Crystal over on Zilch's side, taking care of that Ogopogo as well. Ooh! And that could very well end up being a required Fabul defense there.
Yeah. Yeah, the Luca key obviously is literally the key to objective number 2, so that's a good thing to get out of the way early, and if Zilch decides to fade Fabul, he may come to regret it.
Yeah, there's always, like, the dream is to get the triple, the 3-in-1 in Fabul, where you can get both Sheila checks and the Fabul defense check all in one visit to Fabul. Of course, you're kind of gambling there. That's something that you might also need for your seed is not hiding there. But yeah, in this case, depending on how key that Luca key ends up being, that could be incentive to do it early.
Yeah. I mean, the good news at the very least, even if you fade Fabul, it's the goal is simply unlocking the sealed cave instead of completing it. So there's not as much potential time loss as you would see with a complete objective. But still, if a runner pushes for the dream of the 3-in-1, yeah, that can have potential effects on that vein.
Yeah, right. You are, and and like you said, that's a very important distinction. That complete sealed cave versus just opening it. That can be a very long dungeon. Depending on what level you are, it can be a very difficult boss at the end. So our runners are probably not going to want to go down there unless they are out of options otherwise. So. Yeah, that always presents itself with there might be something interesting hidden down there, maybe a Threemus that they're looking for, or a key item on the spot. But runners aren't going to want to go for it unless they have to.
Right. All right, looks like we have ourselves a Karate Man over here on Dingley's side.
Yeah,
a Karate Man that goes down very quickly.
Little French vanilla monkeying around here.
Yeah. Oh, dear. Oh, that's a painful Kainatsu to find the Baron in.
Oh, gosh, a 660 damage punch to Kane and a quick reset for Stone Dingley.
Yeah, I don't blame him one bit on that one. Woof. That second Baron spot can hit pretty hard anyway, and when you have a Kainatsu that not only hits hard anyway, but also has that lovely wave to toss at you, then that's a very potent combination that you want to try to avoid if at all possible.
Exactly. Yeah, I would go so far as to consider that one of the hardest spots on the overworld here in this early game. You may remember in the vanilla game, that's where you fight Yang with Cecil, which has a hard-coded storyline trigger to end it. So you're not necessarily intended to get through the entirety of this fight, but in Free Enterprise you have to, and there's some really nasty stats there.
Yeah. It's definitely one that can kind of throw a wrench into your works if you hit it and you're not able to get through it early on.
It looks like Kane was over here on Mount Ordeals. A little bit of foreshadowing to the after years, maybe.
I've not actually played any of that. I suppose I should at some point.
I'll reserve my judgment of that game on air. We'll keep it nice here.
I have seen some of the chatter about actually. Let's just say it's a polarizing game, from what I've heard.
That is probably the best way to put it. That is the most diplomatic answer. Absolutely. Rydia taking advantage of that lightning weakness on Odin and getting 500 damage out of a lit 1. Not something you see every day.
Oh no, not at all. And also putting that dancing dagger to work, too. Odin being beefy Odin right now.
Yeah, probably going to get one more turn in, but that should be all that they need. This hit from Kane will hopefully do it. He's in the air. Is he going to get it?
Ooh.
Yes, he's got it.
Wow. By the hair on my freshly shaved chinny chin chin.
Hashtag calculated.
And Dingley doing what I often forget to do on ordeals, and that is flip your characters before you get to the other side of the bridge.
Ooh, Calcabrina might be a little difficult. Might still have that Stardust. I'm not sure that I've seen him use it. This would be a fantastic opportunity for it.
I was going to say, was that Stardust not over in Eblin? I believe it would be Zilch that has
it.
it.
Yeah, you know what? I think you're right.
That being said, though, when Zilch gets to this spot, he can use that Stardust effectively.
Oh, he's got a Gaia Drum just as good. This should take care of it.
Yeah. Yep, and sure it does. I saw, on the other side, I saw Zilch using that Gaia Drum and the Fabul Defense, so two interesting uses of the item, both pretty effective, generally speaking.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we're getting about to the absolute limit of where those consumable items are going to be useful. Once you kind of get into the mid-tier stuff and the underground, those damaging items really fall off. So yeah, if you got them, you might as well use them now. And yeah, Stone Dingley putting it to great effect there.
Right. And Chad asking what was the item from the Fabul Defense. It was the Luca Key.
And asking if it was Kane start, was actually Iridia start. Kane was picked up. Kane's been in a few places. Kane was on Mount Ordeals and hanging out in Damsian, I want to say.
Yes.
And not the boss that you want to see here in on Mount Ordeals. You'd prefer to see this in a more difficult spot, but at least Stone Dingley's not going to have any problems here.
Right, yeah. Free bosses are free, but yeah, at the very least, be able to get through it fairly quickly and sort of shake your head that it wasn't at, say, a Moon Altar or in one of the Fey March spots.
Our restreamer pointing out that it is totally the boss you want to see here. I forgot that our restreamer sides with Chaos. So yeah, that's true. It really is down to your alignment.
Yes. Asuka is the one who rolled this seed and is leaning hard into the usual chaos, mayhem, and disorder that her seeds generally foment among the community.
And we're getting a peek at that Baron weapon and armor shop here. It is gated behind the Baron key, so I believe that it has one tier higher items than normal shops here in the overworld. Feel free to correct me on that.
I was going to say you're better at that knowledge than I am. I do know though that the gated shops do have a higher chance of having better items, particularly the Coco shop, but that's super gated. So Dingley's headed back to Hobbs, I presume, to go ahead and go pick up that Palom. I can't really think of any other reason why he'd be back here.
Yeah, that would make a lot of sense. You're at the point now where we get some bosses that you might be able to get a little bit of extra slingshot experience on Palom. Maybe get him to those virus and quake spells that are very important for him. Oh! And quick reset.
Yeah, that Wyvern had caused some problems for Zilch a little bit earlier, and had to dial back the battle speed and toss a Starbale around to be able to get past it. Meanwhile, Zilch is experiencing the fun of Kainatsu here at spot number 2.
Oh, yeah, and he is going for it. It's 4,000 HP at this spot, so it's going to take 8 of those jumps from Kane. This is going to be hard to do. He might have done enough damage that this wave might not hit very hard, but this is going to be rough.
Yeah.
I did want to point out, Zilch did pick up the Ogre Axe that was for sale inside of the Baron Weapon Shop, which is a really, really fantastic piece of gear. It is arguably the strongest of the axes, both in attack power and from having a really high accuracy. I believe it's 85 accuracy, which actually makes it more accurate than most of Kane's spears. So really good weapon. Plus it has that bonus damage against giants. So if the Mac Giant grind comes up, Kane's going to be equipped for that.
Yeah, absolutely. And having a weapon that's very high accuracy against those giant grinds is a pretty big deal. I can speak from relatively recent experience, having tried to do a giant grind with a not terribly accurate weapon is not exactly my idea of a good time.
Yeah, Zilch is whittling down that Kainazo, and I think he might actually have a go at it here. Kainazo's down to about 150 damage per wave. He's going to keep him locked into just using the wave so he doesn't have to deal with those punches. And with Kane back to full health, he might be okay here.
Yeah, it's looking like he'll be able to pull it off because he's been timing those jumps pretty well, and it's actually not even getting into one or two of the waves, so that obviously helps as far as trying to survive it. And of course, the more jumps he gets in, the more HP he whittles down, the less those waves hit, so he's going to pick that Palom back up, and Palom might, with the application of Cure 2, be able to survive a little bit now.
This is an interesting play here from Stone Dingley, going to Evelyn Castle, presumably for experience on that Palom. This encounter here, the Lamia, is a really good amount of XP, and since that Palom is lower level than his other characters right now, might be benefiting a little bit from a slingshot, might get that Palom to either Virus or even Quake here from this fight. Just can't quite muscle it out against the Lamia, though.
Yeah, I did see him try to use that Stardust that he had picked up in Eblon to be able to try to take that encounter down. Pretty good move. Unfortunately, just couldn't quite get the Lamia down quickly enough, but it's still a smart play to use that and to be able to take down at least, I would say, two of the more pernicious enemies that you'll find here.
Yeah, that Bluster or Blaster, whatever you want to call it, not a fun attack. Oh, it's a Magma Key! That is big.
Oh, boy. So Zilch gets rewarded for sticking out in the fight. Oh, boy.
Yeah, that is going to give a ton of access to Zilch. Already has the Luca key, so at any point now he can go ahead and unlock that sealed cave and get Objective 2 done. Plus, there is a lot of freebies to be had in the undergrounds. We've got that chest at the Fey March. We've got checking in on Yang. So yeah, world is very much open for Zilch right now.
Oh, yes, absolutely. And now Dingley is doing the other, well, essentially the other end of what Zilch had done earlier, finding those monster chests. And looks like he's going to try to engage them again and maybe, like you said, try to get some experience out of it for the mages and perhaps be able to get some good items out of those trap chests as well.
Yeah, this would be great. I'm not sure. I believe Kane still has that mage, or the mute dagger, mage masher. So the Mad Ogres actually have the mage subtype as well as the giant type. So still going to do bonus damage to them. Yeah, is able to one-shot them with a jump. Now it's just going to be a matter of getting through the fight alive, which is easier said than done.
Yeah. It's definitely a good effort on Dingley's part. That's another one of those things that I'll admit I'm still kind of getting used to myself is, oh, the Baron Guards are mages. Oh, the Mad Ogres are mages. Wait, what?
Yeah. Taking care of those subtypes of effective weaponry is incredibly important to keep in mind. Effective weapons in this game do quadruple damage. So if an enemy's got a subtype, do your best to take advantage of it. Even if you have to equip a weaker weapon, it's going to generally result in more damage overall.
Oh, yes. The times that I have remembered to take advantage of that with types like the Baron Guards, man, it feels rewarding.
Absolutely. It's one of the reasons I like the claw type weapons, because not only can he sort of mix and match them with Yang, as long as he has one of his fists tied to the right element or subtype, that he'll be able to hit it very hard. Edge also can take advantage of those claws, believe it or not. He can equip them. They don't provide him with nearly as much attack damage as his katanas would, but allowing him to hit that 4x weakness is big.
Yeah. All right, we got ourselves a job dwarf check. It's a metal fabricator.
That is very important when you're a dwarf.
Yes, absolutely.
I feel like that dwarf is a captain of industry here.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say we may see him on the pages of the Forbes 500 sometime soon.
Dwarves. Nah, never mind. It doesn't work.
The Tombra Titan.
There we go. And our next stop is going to be the Fey March. Throwing a save down, might try to save scum the trapped chest here to get some loot. Oh, yeah. Wow, the very first chest has the monster, so able to easily reset and just loot out the Feymarch here. That's really big.
Absolutely. Also worth noting on Dingley's side, Dingley is engaging that Lamia encounter again, and has gotten stop on the Lamia, so having cleaned out the other two enemies, it looks like, hopefully, Dingley will be able to take the Lamia down and be able to get the experience and the item behind that chest. So it'll be interesting to see if it does. Certainly it'll get some levels for the mages, and we'll see how good that item is.
Yeah, real heads-up play there with the hard-casting stop on Rydia. It's nowhere near as useful casting it than it is using, say, an Hourglass item, just because the duration isn't going to be nearly as long. But still, giving him just enough time to get through the... Oh my god, a Stardust Rod! Are you kidding me?
Wow.
Oh, that's big!
Yes, it is.
So yeah, a lot of time spent getting through that fight, but it pays off huge for Stone Dingley. With his Black Mages, not only is that going to be an enormous boost to their casting power, but able to cast Stardust on command. It's going to be really useful in these early parts of the game.
Yes, it very much is. And it's interesting. It'll be interesting maybe chatting with the runners afterward, because of course Zilch looted Eblin early, but didn't go after the items in the trap chest, because what party's going to be able to take them down at moment one. And then Dingley does it, and it pays off. Oh, speaking of paying off, hello, Cursed Ring.
Yeah, always check those armor shops. Cursed Ring is going to be very, very useful for agility manipulation into the end game. And looks like the Avenger was in the free chest, so Kane is really going to appreciate that.
Yes. Yeah, that was the free item, so definitely good to see for Zilch, and I think it'll be useful on both ends for both him and Dingley. I think they'll both be very happy to see that.
Indeed, you really don't want Kane doing much other than attacking, so why not just make that all he can do?
Right.
And yeah, with the Stardust Rod in hand, Stone Dingley's going to go back into this Cagnazzo fight feeling way more confident about it. It's going to be able to peel off so much HP so quickly that the wave should probably not be a problem for him.
Yeah. Oh, if he could get it off.
Fortunately, you need to be on your feet to use the Stardust Rod, but hopefully we can get him back up quickly.
Yeah.
Oh, bonus round in the Feymarch. Neither of those are what I would consider fun.
Oh, dear. So I was looking at Dingley's screen. Was bonus round the king or queen?
Bonus round was the queen, and CPU was sitting in the king spot.
Well, okay, so a little bit of a silver lining. At least bonus round is the queen, so not quite as formidable.
and CPU isn't horribly threatening. It's just one of the most annoying bosses in the game to fight.
Yeah. So, like I said, silver linings, maybe thin, barely perceptible silver linings, but silver linings. And our restreamer heartily approves.
Of course she does. Wow, getting a couple of gutsy treasure chest checks here from Zilch in the Sylph Cave. A lot of trap chests in here, and none of those fights are fun. But yeah, it looks like he just wanted to do the one and go on, so I can't blame him.
Yeah, I don't blame him either. I think I remember hearing that there are 7? No, is it 7 trap chests here, I believe?
I believe so. We used to do them a lot in the old 2v2 flag sets. Yeah, 7 sounds right.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Two Malboros, 2 of the 6 spirits, and then something else, yeah. It's been a while.
So in other words, so not fun, and not fun, basically.
Yeah, exactly. We would often draw straws on the 2v2 to see who actually had to go into the Sylph Cave and do it. And we're going to get a Dwarf Castle check here from Zilch. It is a Lunar Sparkle. Not interested in that.
No, not yet, at least.
Question chat, when have Malboros ever been fun? When you're a blue mage, then Malboros are a lot of fun.
Yes.
No blue mages in this game, sadly.
Or if you have status immunity and you can just kind of sit there and laugh at them as they try to turn you into a giant pile of steaming puke.
Oh, I did. Not sure if Zilch checked that, but yeah, there was a Drain Sword available in Aggert's. Grabbing that on Stone Dingley's side could be... when we get that Avenger, we might see some Drain Venger strats, possibly. If we never find a healer, that might be the only way to get through Zeromas.
we very well could, yeah. And I don't believe Zilch checked. I think Zilch just checked the item shop, and that was pretty much it.
And yeah, Restreamer pointing out a Sylph pickup on Zilch's side, which is very, very nice for Rydia, especially since we just mentioned we really don't have anything in the way of healing. Sylph is an excellent healing spell, especially early game and even going into mid game, so good pickup there.
All right, so Dingley is making his way down into the underworld, and we get to see what Sheila 1 yields for us on Zilch's side. Does Sheila have the goods this evening? No.
Well, it'd be quite a stretch to call that the goods.
A little bit.
It's a very useful item, especially we've run into some of the boss bit lacking enemy bosses so far. There's still a couple out there that a coffin can be useful for, but you're probably hoping for something a little more substantial than that.
Yeah, a little more key to your progress, but oh well. Such is life.
That about does it for the freebies. Looks like Zilch is going to be going on a shopping trip here.
Yeah, I noticed. I think I believe we've seen Ether 2s. I think they were in Tamra. We saw Cure 3s. I don't recall precisely where they were. Oh, there's your Ether 1s. So we're starting to get toward the coveted, well, at least, and Star Veils too, which you see them picking up. So definitely starting to get the items that most of our runners will look for in spades when they play these seeds.
Yeah, right you are. We are lacking a Tella, and we're especially lacking a Darkness Crystal right now. So we don't have anything free as far as grind options go. So looks like our runners are going to have to try and eke out a few more fights to see if the pieces start to fall into place here.
Yeah. All right, Zilch going ahead and opening the sealed cave. I'm a little surprised he didn't do this when he was down here the first time, to be honest. Maybe he just was so bent on trying to get to Tamra and then Feymarch and then Yang that it just kind of, maybe just escaped him for a moment.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you just kind of have to route in whenever, because you're going to be down in the underground a couple of times. And yeah, not even going in. Just wanting to get it unlocked, get the objective done, and move on. So that is our first objective complete at the 34-minute mark. Oh, and he actually is going in. Never mind. I just wanted to save after the quick little cutscene there.
Huh. Do we have a door grind? I think we have a door grind.
Looks like it.
At the very least, maybe using that coffin to take down one of them.
And he did pick up those Star Veils, so it looks like he might be trying to Star Veil up whoever gets targeted with the Disrupt. But yeah, very, very fast there.
Let's see how he chooses to go about it. Yeah, he's going to employ those Star Veils. Uh-oh, and gets the wrong end of it, unfortunately.
Yeah, 1 in 3 chance, didn't quite work. Well, the Star Veil would have gone out in time, but it's kind of hard to tell sometimes.
Yeah, this is one of the grinds that I've definitely had to learn a lot more about as we've gone through this tournament, because before we started the tournament, if you had said the words door grind to me, I would have looked at you like you had grown antlers and lost your mind. So it's interesting, though, when applied very well, as we see here from Zilch. You see Quake Kid is now online.
Yeah, and a casual 19 levels for Rydia, so that is a huge boost in party power for him.
Yeah, just posh. Take 19 levels. Here you go.
And I'm curious if he is going to go do a few more, or if he's comfortable. Oh, yeah, turning encounters off, so we'll see if he turns them back on, if he's going to leave, what the plan is here.
Now, looks like he's going to do a spot of looting and then probably make his way out the door.
Yep. Yeah, that would make the most sense. Just want a little bit of experience on your team here so you can do some of these mid-tier fights like Dwarf Castle. like the Tower of Babel, things like that. And yeah, he's got Quake, he's got Sylph on Rydia, he's got Kane with some really good equipment. Looks like he's good to go. And I think we might be seeing a similar play from Stone Dingley here.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense given that obviously unlocking the cave was one of the objectives, and they both have the Luca key. So effectively, why wouldn't you do that?
Yeah, precisely. And I like this, heading back out to go get that Baron check in. We've had that key for so long. Might as well cash it in and see what is hiding out behind there.
Yep. I was about to say Dingley stepped back into Luca Cave, and I was going to exclaim a little bit that we were seeing some same strats, but decided to duck back over to Tamra and have fun with our metal fabricator.
Yeah, I'm not sure if a Stone Dingley has found the Star Veils for sale quite yet. I'm just kind of looking through his inventory. See, he has a Moon Veil there. I don't see any Star Veils, so he might not be quite ready for that, for fighting any of those trapdoors, but he is going to give us, hopefully, a Dwarf check as well. Validate both of these runners. Yep. Excellent, excellent. We don't have to disqualify anybody tonight.
Yeah, well, that's good. I can put the band hammer up. Find the dusty corner of the closet in which I dragged it.
Now here's the hard question. Can you remember who was in the Beigen spot at the beginning of this seed?
That was Mom Bomb.
Oh, good job. I legitimately forgot.
Also, chat pointing out that, yes, there was indeed a door grind in the first match between these two. So, go figure.
Yeah, you don't see it very often, especially just because there are a lot of tools available for alternate grinds, and the door grind is maybe one of... it's definitely not a kind of shut your brain off grinds, like something like an egg grind might be when sirens are available. Something you have to be actively paying attention to. There's a lot of RNG involved in who's going to get targeted with the disrupt. So it's definitely low on the totem pole as far as grinds people want to do, but it is there if that is the only option that you have.
Yeah. It's... Oh, hello, Lunar Dragons. Goodbye, Lunar Dragons.
Yeah, not fun with the current setup a Stone Dingley has.
No, not particularly. But still time to do some shopping.
Yeah, once that Palom gets up to Quake for Stone Dingley, that's going to be a much more reasonable fight. The problem right here is, you're relying on mostly on damage from Kane and a physical attack from Kane. You would have to do jumps with Kane. Any fight command from him would trigger the alternate script for the D-Lunars, where they are going to start reflecting viruses off themselves, which you don't want to see.
No, absolutely not. I know in my early days, I didn't realize that was a triggered script, so I tried to fight those D-Lunars the normal way, and, well, needless to say, it was not fun.
Of course, the other option would be the reflecting the breath in order to get the lunar frogs, but that is it's sort of a time investment there, and you don't know what the next boss is going to be, so difficult to rely on that and then run into something like Golbez that's just going to wipe you.
Right.
Mom Bomb goes down quickly over on Zilch's side, able to bypass the explosion. Very, very nice.
Yeah. And that was very nicely done. Perfectly timed as far as the damage was concerned.
Yeah, really expertly done. We're going to see Stone Dingley going after the same thing here. He's got that Sylph spell for Rydia, but remember, he is at a significantly lower level than Zilch is. Did not go in and fight that door, so might be a little interesting here. We do have that Stardust route, so Palom's going to be hitting like a truck. And Bahamut on the throne, not very threatening.
Yeah, especially since you can toss up a couple of good Star Veils and pretty much Bob's your uncle on that one. Of course, when you have Quake and Sylph, you may not even have to worry about that.
Yeah, going for the power overwhelming route rather than the strategic route, which I cannot blame whatsoever. There's a lot of damage Zilch has right now for this point in the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Quake definitely doing Quakey things, Virus about to do virusy things, and Bahamut doing extinct things.
And possibly more important even than the key item here is going to be this character. If you're in Zilch or Stone Dingley spot, you're probably hoping it's a white mage. Porum or Rosa would definitely be welcome.
Well,
speaking
we got
of devil, there
Porum.
she is. And not taking her immediately, I can understand that. You can do the healing you want to do with Rydia right now, so stick her in the Tower of Wishers, bring her out if you want to slingshot her later. She's not going to be necessarily fantastic until you can get her to her higher tier healing spells, so kind of like benching her right now.
Right. I do wonder, though, and I am curious if the runners are thinking something along these lines. There are a couple of characters that they can get at the Tower of Zot. Neither runner has gone up Zot yet, so those character checks are still, they're still Schrodinger's characters. But I wonder if these runners are starting to trail down the wandering, winding path of, boy, this looks familiar. Because Tella was a non-entity in last night's seed as well. And we have not seen Tella yet.
Yeah, that's very true. But we might see a Tower of Zot play here sooner than later. That's the Twin Harp. That's going to bring them up into the Troya area. Wouldn't surprise me if we see a Harp check into a Zot check here.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. That's generally speaking the proper order to do it, because once you get done with Zot, you're not in Kansas anymore. You're in Barron, so you've got to make your way back to Troya the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, I do like this Odin check first, though. There are a couple of freebies still left on the board. If there is one hidden here, you can sneak a key item out of the equation. Even if you can't, you still get a little bit of intel as far as what bosses are still out there. So, a good play here by Zilch.
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, especially since you are parked right there, so why not go ahead and take, say, 30 seconds to a minute, get that information, like you said, maybe get a freebie boss, and Sparkles aren't free, at least, well, not really. If you get Plague, yeah, possibly, but
okay, no, that's a little too punchy. I was thinking this might be doable, but
yeah, Zilch is gonna give it the old college try, but unfortunately fails that exam.
Now, I believe he was loading up a Sylphcast on Rydia, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Pale Dim counters summons with Quake, so that wouldn't have been fun for him.
Not particularly.
Oh, is he going to give it another shot here?
Possibly. Oh, he's going to have Rydia be his anchor for the moment.
Interesting. See, I would be a little skeptical for doing this just because I don't have any real easy access to Blink, which would be the thing that if I had, say, a Tella or, that Porum leveled up enough to cast Blink, I would feel more confident about this because then he could just nullify all of his physical attacks, but he doesn't have that. He's just going to be relying on back rowing it, so this would be very interesting.
Yeah. It'll be intriguing to see if he pulls this off. It's something I certainly wouldn't have thought of right offhand, so another tribute to just how advanced and knowledgeable that these runners are with these strategies.
Yeah, most certainly. Oh, he's going to Moonveil it. I forgot he had that.
Yeah, there you go. Now that's some strategery from Zilch.
So that's basically a free fight at this point. Palom is going to have basically infinite Blink, or we just talked about how Blink would nullify this boss. Well, he's got infinite Blink now. He's just going to bluff himself up until he can do reasonable damage with that Quake and then just walk through this fight. So really good use of consumables here by Zilch. And the best thing is if this doesn't lead to anything, he can just save Scum out of it and get that Moonveil back.
Absolutely. All right, so Dingley finishes off Bahamut and goes ahead and takes that Porum.
So yeah, Zilch may be thinking for the longer term, just in case, going up Zot and there's somebody else I would have. Dingley says, no thanks, I know I want a white mage at some point. I'm just going to go ahead and take this Porum right here, right now.
Right.
Palom has lied to the game enough about his intelligence that he's doing in the realm of 6,000 damage now.
That's a pretty spicy Quake. I think this actually, now that I think about it, I believe this may be the first time. Well, maybe the first time I've seen a moon veil used or well, not like this, because there's only one use for it. But I think this might be the first time I've seen a moon veil used in a tournament seed. Maybe I'm just watching the wrong seeds, but
yeah, they're very rare items, and even when you find one, you're not necessarily guaranteed to be in a situation where you can utilize one so effectively. So yeah, they don't get used a lot, but when they do, they can be very effective, like we just saw. And let's see if this pays off. Yeah, that does.
Oh!
You're not usually overjoyed to see the package, but that is objective number 4. Wow, that pays off big for Zilch.
How about them apples?
And Dingley is about to make the same check. I want to say he also has that moon veil. Let's see if he decides to make a similar play.
I'm not sure. He reset out of it, so we'll see if he rearranges things to go back. Looks like he's not, though. Maybe going ahead and going to chase that music.
The good news for Dingley is this isn't the worst thing in the world. He knows it's Pale Dim. He knows that is a relatively easy boss. As soon as he gets his team strong enough, he can go make that check again and get it out of the way. The only reason it would become a big problem is if he fades it entirely, going, well, I checked it, it was this, let's go do other things instead. Being that it is Pale Dim, hopefully he won't fade it. He'll know he can just go back and beat it easily eventually. So, not the worst thing.
Right.
I did like the Rosa and Cecil hugging palette burning down here.
I was actually about to ask what that was. I thought I caught Cecil colors, but I wasn't quite sure.
Yeah, it's interesting. I learned that from Scala Kitty, our pixel sprite artist extraordinaire here on the Free Enterprise team, that when Cecil and Rosa, embrace after you rescue Rosa, that's actually one sprite. So Rosa and Cecil have to have the same color palette just so that one scene works.
Wow. All right, so while Zilch is busy destroying the Mist Village, Dingley is busy going after music. And of course, this music is one of the things that we randomize in this here community, and there are lots of great tunes that we see from DJ Spoony B. So after the Dark Elf does his thing, we will get to hear some very lovely tunes.
Quick kamikaze use here from his Palom. Nice thing here is the way this fight is scripted. Any items you use, you get back at the end of it. But kamikaze doesn't even get used. So we'll give you a little bit of silence so you can enjoy these tunes. A nice double dip there of Chrono Trigger's main theme.
Yeah, anything Chrono Trigger is fantastic. I was giving the overall notion 2 thumbs up as it started playing on Dingley's side.
Yeah, definitely one of the greatest soundtracks ever for probably one of the greatest RPGs ever made. So, yeah. Lovely rendition there in the harp.
Yeah, these harp songs are pretty fantastic. I know there's a good number of them. I don't quite remember exactly how many, but there's a good number of them, and I've yet to find one that disappoints. So definitely props to all the folks who are responsible for that.
Yeah, it would be Boardface did the bulk of them, and then handed off duty there to Comlanity, who has been doing them since. Big shout outs to them. And did you catch what was there in the Flame Dog chest? Because, man, did he mash A fast through that.
Yes, he did. He also got through the Flame Dog pretty quickly. I unfortunately didn't catch what the item was.
Yeah, I believe it was just a quick Avenger hit there from Kane, and that was the end of it.
Yeah, so, chat, y'all might need to bail us out on that one. Apologies.
But going back, we did find the adamant inside of the Cave Magnus there. So that is one half of objective number 1, and that means Zilch is just a Legend Sword away from completing his objectives. Still needs to find access to Zeromus in order to finish the seed up, though.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's obviously good news for both runners because not only is that part of an objective, but it's also half of the key to unlocking the Coco Shop, which is the best shop in the game on the S Pro settings. Could be home to some incredibly good stuff, and that's, if you have access to it, that's definitely a good thing to be able to avail yourself of.
Right you are. We got a quick reset out of that Golbez fight. I got to imagine we're setting up some kind of status shenanigans here. Yeah, taking that Avenger sword off, and we got pig strats. Break out the bacon.
Oink, oink.
So you might be wondering why Stone Dingley has turned his entire party into pigs. It's taking advantage of a little quirk of Final Fantasy IV where you can only have one status effect on you at a time. If another status effect would land, there's a hierarchy the game uses to decide what status effect sticks. Pig is pretty high up on there. So when Golbez tries to use that hold gas on you to paralyze your team, the game says, nope, too bad, they're already pigs. And it just does not take effect. The advantage there is that you're able to act out of the cutscene way quicker, get those star veils up since Golbez is only going to use magic spells from that point on, and generally have a much smoother fight.
Yeah, that's another one of those peculiarities of the game that I've had to get used to. It's interesting to see, though, if you have a screen full of pigs or a screen full of miniature characters or whatever status effect that the runner chooses to use. It looks like Zilch is going to employ the same piggy strats, or, well, singular piggy strat against Golbez here.
Yeah, I guess as long as he's just got the one character that's able to act, he's going to be fine in that case. He does have one less character than a Stone Dingley, so the only thing he needs, the Shadow Dragon's only going to kill one character as opposed to two. And he's going to kill no characters because he takes Iridia. Very heads-up play there. Now he knows exactly who's going to do it. So, Yeah, I know I've gotten burned by the status hierarchy a couple of times when I've tried to berserk a melee fighter who was poisoned.
Looks like both of our runners are taking advantage of lower battle speed to be able to perform all of their status shenanigans and everything that they want to get done in this fight against Golbez. Dingley's been able to get most of his characters back up to be able to get more damage on Golbez and be able to try to take him down a little bit faster.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a tanky spot because this is going to be the combined HP totals of all three of the Maga sisters who you normally fight here. So, not massively high-level characters in either of these two players' parties. So it's going to take a little bit to chew through here, but it is a relatively safe fight. Even if you don't have Star Veils out, Golbez can only kill one party member at a time. He doesn't have anything that's going to be able to wipe your entire party out. As long as you keep lifing them and keep doing the damage out, you should be fine.
Right. Yeah, it's good to see these runners being able to pull this off so effectively, because I sort of sound like a little bit of a broken record, but I've had to kind of get used to this as well. As far as, that Golbez will only do magic attacks that you can push back at him if you have the means. So good job on both these runners to be able to do this pretty much on the fly, because they just took that quick reset and were able to set up pretty much impeccable strategies on both sides.
Yeah, and both runners finishing the fight at about the same time. Zilch went into that fight behind a Stone Dingley and has actually pulled a little bit ahead, so that's actually really incredible on his end.
Yeah. I did see a very good application of Quake on Zilch's side that took down probably about a third of the HP on that spot.
Oh, no, we were talking about shaping your strategy by the characters in Zot. Edward's not exactly the character you shape your strategy around.
I mean, you do shape your strategy around him. You shape it around shoving him into the Tower of Wishes most of the time.
I think they've already got an Edward or two over there.
Yes.
And is that another young? That's another young, so... Can be fun if you slingshot him to high levels, but not anything that's going to be immediately useful.
No, unfortunately. So, Edward immediately takes a back seat, as does the second Yang. And let's see what boss is awaiting us at the top of Zot.
Yeah, we know where the Mist Dragon is. It's down in that Fame Arch. So the only thing that Zot could have at this point to pay off for our runners would be the key item at the end.
Yeah. And we get Dr. Luggage at the top of the tower, so joy hardy.
Yeah, never truly a threatening boss at any real point. Just can be a bit of a pain to get through just because you got to do the two fights. Not looking like it's going to be very threatening here.
All right, so Zilch proceeds to get Lugay down, and now Dingley is going after old Luggage himself.
Yep, showing off that Sylph spell, able to top everybody off while doing some damage. But all eyes are going to be on Zilch right here as we see what Tower of Zot has to offer. Well,
Take it.
Take that. We were just talking about how he's only a key item away from objectives. Now he's only a key item away from go mode.
Yeah.
Could the moon be haunted in tonight's seed?
It is definitely possible.
And yeah, beelining it over to Dwarf Castle. Don't blame him. Got some quick two bosses to get through here. And then it will be another key item check. And then I think all that's really left down here is Keyless Tower and the Fame Arch, right?
Yep.
Oh, and I guess Luca, the Sealed Cave as well. If nothing else pans out, the Sealed Cave is there as well.
True, yeah. We did see Zilch poke his head in and do a door grind. We did see Stone Dingley unlock it and then fake us out for a second like he was going to do a door grind. But we have not yet seen the actual item or the boss contained therein.
Now, I believe from a check earlier that this is going to be the D-Lunars.
Yes.
Which would have been frightening earlier, but at this point shouldn't be too bad.
At this point, quack, 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 quack.
Exactly. This will also give Baroaridia up. She'll get access to all of that mid-tier magic and summons. Not that they're used terribly often, but it does expand her options a little bit.
Yep. Meanwhile, Dingley will show us what Keyless Tower holds a little earlier than Zilch, so it'll be interesting to see how this works out.
And we get to see that programmed counterattack here on D-Lunars. If you use a summon against them, they will recover a percentage of their HP, so even though it's still hit very hard, about half effectiveness with the recovery afterwards.
Right. Still, though, I mean, it does obviously carry the extra benefit of, oh, by the way, it heals your party, too, so I can't say that Zilch feels too bad about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that can't be understated, because especially in this midpoint of the game, that healing is a very, very good, very great action economy to just be able to get all of your characters healed like that. You really don't get consistent full party healing like that until you get to the Cure 3, Cure 4 levels, so... Oh my gosh, another Young. What is with the monks?
Have you heard of Third Young?
And we've got a sneak peek into the boss at the Rubicante spot. Was that, looked like the Dark Knight Cecil fight?
I admittedly was distracted by Leviathan.
No worries. Not that it's terribly useful. We know where D-Mist is, so there's really not going to be any boss hunting here to be had.
Right.
Rydia grows up, gets that wonderful hair floof animation on her walking sprite now. While Dingley is settling in for a long fight against the elements here.
Yeah, this could be a not so bad a fight, but the element spot has differing, obviously, elemental affiliations, so you have to make sure to take care of that as you're going through doing damage, making sure that it doesn't trip potential issues.
Just a Sand Ruby. Yeah, not terribly. I honestly don't think either of our runners have been to Kaipo yet.
I don't believe either of them have. Well, I seem to remember one of them parking around there, but they might have just parked around there for Mist Village, if nothing else.
Yeah, it might be. Either way, I'm trying to think of any character that would be in Kaipo that you'd want to pick up at this point. Tella would be good, because that would potentially unlock a grind if we find the Darkness Crystal. We do have that ninja sword floating around, and Edge might be nice, but other than that, the party's looking pretty good.
Yeah. Speaking of looking pretty good, Stone Dingley took down the element spot with considerable aplomb, so kudos to Dingley.
Yeah, excellent play, and the hook is potentially big if we find that rat tail, because that is an objective on the board.
Yep. So we're halfway to 2 objectives, and obviously both runners know where, well, at least Zilch has both of the other 2 taken care of, so we have in our hands everything.
Yeah, this is getting really, really interesting now, especially since the runners have sort of diverged here. Stone Dingley making that play up to get the hook, Zilch going into Dwarf Castle and is now diving the Sealed Cave. I would love it if Stone Dingley decides to go take on the Fey March, but that might be asking a little bit too much right now.
Yeah, I think that would be a bit of a tall order, especially since they know what's down there and it's not fun.
Where was the package? The package was at the Odin spot, which was Pale Dim, yeah. Oh, Darkness Crystal in the vanilla location!
Yep, I'm taking that.
Yeah, that is huge for Zilch. And not a terribly difficult fight guarding it either.
Yeah, Mylon and friends. Especially with Quack Kid online, you can take down those gas pretty quickly. And Mylon himself can punch hard, but generally, I believe, does magic attacks most often. And those can be fairly easily handled.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. The lit one's not going to be much of a threat. He may occasionally punch, which could hurt a lot at this spot, but it is just a punch. Can only hit a single target, get him right back up, and isn't going to be ultimately terribly threatening. Oh, Stone Dingley's going after this Warrior's chest after all. Wants some loot.
Interesting. And maybe some going after, obviously going after a level or few.
Yeah, right you are.
I mean, got a Stardust Rod out of that trap chest that he did last time. Let's see if it pays off in similar fashion.
Not so much.
I mean, Abacus will help in the Z fight for Kane.
I would say so. Yeah, I would say so, except we've already got that Avenger, so we can automatically auto-zerk Kane whenever we want.
Yeah. So without the Avenger Sword, that's a great find. With the Avenger Sword, not quite so much.
Yeah. Still, though, I like the play. I really like checking trap chests. You can get some really good loot out of them.
Yeah, especially once you have the means to be able to take them down quickly. You don't have to worry about... Because, I mean, if you're early and you're doing trap chests, you're sitting here thinking, oh my god, I'm giving away X amount of minutes. Especially in these phases where you're going against somebody who you know is also really, really good. But once you've got the firepower to take them down quickly, yeah, I could definitely see it, especially if you're looking to gear out characters, or if you maybe need a little bit of money and you know you can do them very quickly. I could see that.
Yeah, right you are. I like this play here from Stone Dingley. He is, after all, going after those Fame Arch bosses, which we mentioned might not do, but proving us wrong. What he did was he moved all of that wisdom-enhancing stuff from Palom over to Rydia, and the benefit there is Rydia's Sylph spell is going to be able to bypass the wall that CPU puts up on itself. So Rydia is going to be the major damage player here against CPU, and the added benefit is that Sylph spell is just going to negate all of the damage that the Mazer would do. So Rydia is going to pretty much carry this fight.
That is, like you said, a really good play, and I was going to do the Mist Dragon first, so... And that's
so ignore everything I just said. But no, Rydia is still going to carry this too. Mist Dragon is going to punch hard, and that Sylph spell is going to be able to recuperate a lot of the damage being dealt.
Yeah, well, I mean, all the same though, all those points that you made about that effectiveness on CPU are definitely valid. It'd be interesting to see if Dingley chooses to employ that against CPU as well, or if he's just going for this Mist Dragon, the bonus round check and the succeeding key item check.
Yeah, I would hate to suggest a course of action here for Stone Dingley because he's going to immediately prove me wrong. But to me, it would seem the logical play would be, go ahead and fight CPU after this. Get 3 checks for the price of 2. You're right here, you can take it on. You might as well.
Right.
But actually putting out a significant amount of damage, doing about, I want to say 6,000, 7,000 damage before D-Mist transforms. So hopefully be able to get this in 2 or 3 cycles.
Yeah, that's not bad at all, especially since it does come with the corollary of Sylph being able to heal the party. So
yeah, and he's making really good use of that blink spell so that people will be safe. Won't even need to do the healing and if you never get hit in the first place.
Yeah, fair.
Touching forehead meme.
Yeah. Well, the best defense in this case is, I guess, a good defense.
Sometimes defense is defense.
Yeah, well, I live in the South, so we thrive on all of our football monitors.
Question, Chaz, just me or more often not runners are the opposite of the Smithy play? That is because I'm bad at this game, and the runners who are at this part of the tournament are good. So that is a really good way to determine what the best course of action is don't do what I say.
Well, definitely don't do what I say. I'm new to the game. I barely know what I'm doing half the time.
The big secret is none of us know what we're doing half the time. Don't worry.
Well, it's a good thing that the folks who are running these seats do know what they're doing. Otherwise, they're here for a while.
They should just commentate themselves.
Sometimes they have in the runners review.
Speaking of which, go ahead and give all of our runners a follow on here. Both Zilch and Stone Dingley are fantastic streamers and deserve your support, especially for not just how much they, just how well they're able to play the game, but how much they've contributed to the community as a whole. So give them a follow.
Yes, absolutely. And chat saying don't do what commentary suggests. Well, that's why I'm trying not to suggest many things. I will simply evaluate and not try to predict.
Oscar, I'll take you up on that. We'll see how far we can push that timer, how many digits it can track.
Well, everybody, do you have plans tomorrow morning?
Have the very first slow run tournament.
Well, I was going to say, considering I've seen tournaments where runners have competed to see how many seeds they could do in 24 hours or what have you.
And Zilch is up the tower now, is going to be facing the elements. Can't imagine he's going to have too much trouble here. And will then... Oh, and he's actually using reflex strats here. Very, very smart play. That's going to let him skip the rest of the phases here. The elements would normally switch to the next element in line, but since that is considered a counterattack in the script, and there is a just hard and fast rule in this game that you cannot counter a counterattack, and reflecting a spell is also considered a counterattack, reflecting those fire 2s off will mean that it will never switch to the next element in line, and you'll just immediately win the fight. I believe this fire 2 should do it. Yep, there we go.
So we have simultaneous boss deaths. Dingley takes down the Mist Dragon, and Zilch takes down the elements. Zilch gets his hook, and Dingley gets some sharp metal.
Oof. Now that edge is looking better and better now that he has a pair of ninja swords.
True. Of course, you also have the second missed item check, so it looks like Dingley is going to go save, and I suspect go back down and take on CPU, but then again, I was just speculating how bad I am at speculating, so we'll see.
You speculate he's going to fight CPU. I'm going to speculate he's going to go immediately check that Demus spot, and then one of us has to be right.
Hey, there you go. That's how we beat it.
We did it. Take that, Dingley.
You go left, I go right. Let's make sure none of them go down the middle.
Now, what he did here is, we mentioned this earlier, is he did throw down a save there in the Fey March. So if he goes in and he turns this bonus round in and it ends up not being anything useful, he can immediately save scum right back there and go fight CPU.
Right.
Ooh, not going to reset out of that, though. That is a couple of key item checks.
This could be very interesting if those checks turn out to be key, items that we need as far as objectives. Oh boy!
Yeah, right. You are. I'm a huge fan of the pan as a key item just because it can open up so much in a seed. And yeah, wasting no time, going to go see what that pan offers. Meanwhile, Zilch is going back up Mount Ordeal?
Mm-hmm.
Did Zilch never do Ordeals in the first place?
I don't believe he did.
Okay, that would make sense then. Yeah, there's a boss there.
And the middling version of Power Overwhelming, I think, will take these bosses down lickety-split.
Yeah, I would be surprised if Odin survives more than a single lit 2 here. Oh my! That pan, immediately useful. And goodness gracious, we are all of a sudden Stone Dingley is now a single key item away from go mode, and we know where one of them is.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh gosh, Zilch just needs to do the Fey March, and a Stone Dingley just needs to do the Odin spot, and they're in go mode. This is exciting.
This is what we get. This is what we pay for, folks.
Yeah, you pay for the whole seat. All you need is the edge that has not shown up in the seat yet. Charm Rod, not bad. Now we got a Stardust Rod and a Charm Rod. And just like that, Stone Dingley has pulled up even in terms of objectives completed. We're at 2-2, and now we're just waiting on one of these runners to make the right play.
Yep, and it's certainly possible. Well, I was going to say it's possible that Dingley might be making that play. Dingley is heading over to... to make the rest of the Sheila 2 check.
Yeah, right, you are. That's the nice thing about that pan, is that it is 2 checks in one. As well as counting as a key item for, but in terms of getting you to that 10 key item threshold you need for double experience, which, let me do a little count here. He is at 9, if I'm counting that right.
Yep, he has at 9.
So yeah, if this is a rat tail, oh, there's another coffin.
That was Sheila 1.
Sheila, what are you doing holding that? Oh, that was Sheila 1. Okay. I thought that was her second coffin. Never mind. Ignore me.
So Moonveil from Sheila 2 is useful, but not the rat tail that Stone Dingley was hoping for.
Yeah, if we end up having to go to the moon, well, we don't have to, but if the runners do end up going to the moon, oh, it's going to Baron. Go to Baron. Do it, Dingley. Go to Baron. That's not Baron. I don't think he's been to the city yet, so he might be either doing some shopping or picking up a 5th character.
Well, I was going to say it was Dingley who had first found the double Cecils and then immediately reset out of them, so I guess going to clear the path for them now.
Oh, what do you think he may take a Cecil here now that he's got the X-Cow?
He very well could, yeah.
He's got that cursed ring, so... He's doing it! A man after my own heart. Picks up the Paladin.
Well, there you go. There's our agility anchor in the flesh.
Yeah, it is not something you see very often here this deep in the tournament because of that vanilla agility being on. The agility for your team is going to be locked to Cecil's agility. So your means by which to manipulate it are very limited. But when you've got the second best weapon in the game in the form of the Excalibur, it makes Cecil way more attractive. He does have that Dwarf Axe too, so he can use that to further manipulate Cecil's agility if need be. So yeah, I really like him picking him up here.
Yeah, especially since you can pretty much, like you said, decide how you want to use your Cecil at this point. Definitely, I think a smart move on that front.
Yeah, he does bring a lot of utility to the table. Not only is he a fantastic physical attacker if you can get one of those really good weapons, but he brings that cover ability, which never underestimate it. Not only can you specifically target somebody to cover, but if you put everybody in critical status, he'll cover everybody. That can be a really fantastic way to cheese some bosses that only can deal physical damage, especially if you use something like the Blink spell or that Moonveil to help further keep Cecil safe.
Yeah. We see Dingley heading into the seal cave, so we know that he's going to find that darkness crystal in Yale Vanilla spot.
Right, you are. And then it becomes a big question as to whether Dingley is going to immediately dive the moon or go finish up the rest of the checks here before going to the moon.
Or perhaps do himself a Mat Giant grind.
That's also a very, very good point.
Yeah, since he's at 5 characters now, we know that there's no Tellus for him, and looks like there's no Tellus for anybody.
I kind of like when we don't see Tella in a seed like this. I know the runners don't, but we get to see some real ingenuity when it comes to finding out how to get your team to the level you need to finish the game. Tella opens up, the D Machine grind, which is probably the most efficient grind in this particular flag set. Without having that on the table, all of a sudden you've got to get a little bit more creative in how you get to where you want to be.
Yeah. So Zilch is raising the big whale, and I expect is going to do a check of the moon character and then probably make up his mind as to how he wants to grind from there.
Yeah, meanwhile, Stone Dingley going through that Mylon fight. That is his 10th key item with the Darkness Crystal, so he is ready for a grind as well. It'll be very, very interesting to see how these runners approach this from now.
Looks like Zilch going back to do some more shopping. I suspect to... Well, we had Ethers and Starveils here, so probably picking up a healthy supply just to make sure everything's topped off item-wise, and then we shall see where he chooses to go from there. Looks like Zilch is probably going to grab a character or two before he goes up to the moon.
Yeah, this will be interesting to see who he decides to roll with. Looks like he's going for a Yang boost.
All right, so we get Punch Mage into this party here. Of course, the good thing about Punch Mage is if you've got the means to do a grind and to get one ready, Punch Mage does not really need gear so much. He needs levels. And of course, a grind will get you all the levels you could ask for. And I assume that Yang is in territory to get Slingshot.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's one of the reasons Yang just is such a great candidate for slingshotting when treasure isn't as plentiful as it maybe has been on some easier flag sets. He doesn't need any of that. All he needs is to get up to those high levels, and he's going to do just fine for himself. Ooh, cabins. Those are a little rare. But correct me if I'm wrong, did Zilch is only at 4 characters, right? I don't think he's picked up a 5th?
Correct. Yeah, Yang was 4th.
Very interesting.
So he's holding out for that Tella.
Holding out for a Tella till the end of the night. He's got to be old, and he's got to have spells, and his beard has got to be white.
Okay, now you've got that song in my head, drat you.
I apologize. Well, just another Cecil.
Oh. Have you heard about Third Cecil?
And resetting out of that Zilch, so it doesn't look like he intends to dive the moon anytime soon. Yep, gonna grab that White Mage, it looks like.
Yep, so White Mage, Punch Mage. And the party is now complete for both of them, so it's grind time, ladies and gents.
Yes, indeed. And very interesting that we've gotten different party makeups here. Largely the same. The key difference here being that Zilch never took a Cecil, took that Yang instead, so still has a bit more control over his agility. A Stone Dingley, having completed that Legend Sword quest, getting the Excalibur, opts for the Cecil instead. So yeah, really, really interesting how the fact that both runners have completed different objectives have taken different parties. And boy, this has got a lot of shades of their first match, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yeah, it is shaping up to be very interesting indeed. So I expect Zilch is probably diving after, I would presume, the Ribbon Room to check bosses there on the moon and see if he can get the Rat Tail to complete his own objective.
Yeah, this is so interesting that potentially both of our... Oh, wait, hang on. Dingley... Oh, is it? No, it looks like he might be setting up a Mac Giant grind.
Yep.
Oh, I thought he might be making a play at Odin. But, oh, he's so close, but so far away.
Yeah. Oh, boy. And this is the fun of being in the comms booth, being able to see both sides of what they're doing, know where everything essentially is, and be able to just kind of know when they're on the cusp of it, and they obviously don't know it themselves.
Yeah, right you are. It's very very interesting to see this, that they're both kind of, playing the long game. Neither of them know that they've got that go mode right underneath their noses here. and they're just going about and making this commitment. Zilch is committing to the moon. Dingley's committing to the grind. I got to imagine he's going to go for the moon after that, since that just represents the greatest accumulation of key items just in one spot.
Yeah.
And Dingley got a little unfortunate setting up his grind manipulation here. Had to reset because he was just not getting any encounters.
Yeah, that's the one thing about the Mac Giant grind that can be a little off-putting is if you take a look at the charts that our wonderful community members have created about the D Machine and Mac Giant grinds in the time of eCant run, as they title it, it will give you a lot of possibilities as far as encounter tables that you can use to predict when you're going to get that encounter. In the D Machine grind, there's a lot of good ones. In the Mac Giant grind, there's not nearly as many good ones, so it's a lot harder to set up by and large.
Yeah, right you are. Not an enormously threatening fight here in the Octomam. It is going to punch hard, so it's going to be a matter of trying to get those turns in. Oh, yeah, maybe it's harder than I anticipated. So, yeah, Zilch is going to reset out of that. Might need to do a little bit of rearrangement manipulation here to get where he wants to be.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he has his battle speed at, but that Octomam was obviously hits really fast at the beginning, but once you're able to get some hits in, that slows the Octomam down a great deal, and that, of course, allows for you to actually be able to make heads or tails of the fight.
Yeah, right you are, and you can see the manipulation there, getting Kane with the Avenger Sword on there immediately, so Kane can just start whacking away, getting those tentacles down. So yeah, this should be a little bit better off here for him.
Right.
And this is one of the highest XP value spots in the game. We are sitting at 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 key items for Zilch, so that's going to double the experience this value gives. This Kane is this Yang is going to shoot up in levels here very quickly.
Oh yes, absolutely. It looks like, I was going to say, Zilch is having something of a time trying to get characters back up while Octomam is busy smacking him around.
Yeah, down to about half the tentacles here, so hopefully this is going to turn out to be a little bit more manageable. Just using quick summons here from Rydia, just wants to get those hits in. The tentacle loss is based on the number of hits Octomam has taken. It has doesn't matter how much damage you deal, as long as you're doing number of hits. So yet another reduction there. This should make this even more manageable. So I think Zilch has this under control now.
Yeah, it seems so, and that's definitely an interesting effect, that the speed goes down as the tentacles go down. So if you know what you're doing in this fight, yeah, you can understand when you're kind of getting it to more of a break point, so to speak.
Now the only thing Zilch has got to be worried about is making sure Yang is still on his feet when this fight ends. Because with that Avenger Kane, the damage is a little bit out of his control. But I think we've still got a little bit to go here before we're quite at killing range here.
Right. Good news is he'll be able to essentially, it looks like he'll be able to conduct this battle with impunity now that he's got Octomam down to 1 tentacle. So the speed advantage is definitely on Zilch's side now, just sapping away at that HP, and I presume has a good idea of how much HP is at this spot, so he knows when to get Yang back up to be able to get Octomam down and get those levels on a slingshotted Yang.
Yeah, right you are. A lot of HP at this spot, because this is going to combine the hit points of both the D-Lunars that you would fight here. So he's got a ways to go, and team is only in sort of the mid-level, still using only like tier 2 elemental magic and such, so yeah, it might be a little bit that he's got to wait, but he'll get through it at this point, I believe.
Yeah.
And Stone Dingley has found the Mac Giant fight, and it's now just a matter of mopping him up. And does get the life glitch on that one, so good counting there. Oh, and gets a 2 for... Oh, no, not a 2 for. Never mind. That life that life was for our team. Ooh, Octomam down, but does not get the Yang up. Wonder if that was intended or not.
I wonder myself. Since Yang is in that middle slot, maybe he's planning on using Yang as his agility anchor.
Yeah, it could very well be. When we see Yang go into the party in this late stage, usually it's to slingshot him into a strong melee fighter, but it could very well be that he just wants him as an agility anchor. That's a spoon! That's a tower key! Ooh. Both key items. The tower key could lead to a rat tail, but if you're Zilch, do you save Scum and go check it?
I kind of think I would if I were in his shoes. With the well-placed save Scum, I think it could be a feasible maneuver.
Yeah, because you haven't really checked too much of the moon at this point, so... Yeah, I could really go either way. Doesn't look like he's going to. Looks like he's just going to keep fighting, but... yeah, that would be such a tough call.
Yeah. All right, so let's see who's at the... Oh, hello, Magus Sisters.
Not the worst thing to find here. Is going to take a reset, though. Probably wants to rearrange his team a bit. I think that was the Rune Axe switching over to Yang, so he can take advantage of that Mage type on the Magus Sisters and deal extra damage. So good heads up play there.
Yeah. Yeah, I think he did that both to go ahead and get to switch into the Avenger with that, like you said, with that Mage type damage. That was the main intent of it. So yeah, definitely, like you said, heads up move to get some good damage going on these sisters immediately, start winnowing them down, because this is an interesting shot. I was about to say an interesting shot on Dingley's side, but the grind continues.
I think Master Hands momentarily took control, but that's okay. Oscar wrestled control back at the stream. Good job to our restreamer there.
Yep, good job, Oscar.
Don't want a World of Light situation here.
No.
But yeah, one of the fun properties of that Avenger is that Avenger glitch, where when you swap to it mid-fight, the Avenger still retains the properties of the weapon that you had equipped beforehand. So even though he's enjoying the auto-berserk properties of the Avenger, he's also enjoying the properties of that Rune Axe, taking advantage of that quad damage against mages. So really useful glitch to take advantage of when you've got weaponry, like we were talking about earlier, just how useful effective weaponry is. Not progression, but you don't hate to see it.
Yeah. That Zeus Gauntlet is nice to have for your physical fighters. I'll be interested to see what Zilch decides to do from here. Does he continue the moon dive? Or
yes, come out and check that tower key. Yeah, they're both viable options at this point.
Right.
Here's the save. And we're going to Ogopogo, it looks like.
Alrighty, let's see what's at the Mazamune altar.
See, it seems like it is moon or bust here for Zilch. He needs one of two key items. We know where the Legend Sword is. It is not here on the moon, so it has to be the Rat Tail for Zilch.
Yeah. Oh!
Not fun.
Oh, ouch.
You've got Kane, so it's not impossible.
Yeah.
But boy, is it not fun.
Yeah.
And yeah, very wisely blinking up Kane immediately. He is going to be the key to this fight. Weak on Yang, probably who you want to see the weak on.
Yeah. Yeah, considering that Yang is your anchor anyway, you You love to see that if you're the runners.
Yeah, and too much evasion to hit with spells, and Kane not hitting hard enough for Zilch's liking. Gonna reset out. Switch the Ogre Axe. Yeah, looks like we might see some jump strats here.
Meanwhile,
Stone Dingley. Yeah, go ahead. I was gonna say, yeah, Stone Dingley finished that grind.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I was gonna say too. So, good job.
And that was over 1 million experience, getting that nuke on at least one of the Black Mages. The other Black Mage is going to hit.
Yep.
Yes. So, wonderful position here for Stone Dingley. Going to have access to Reflect Strats for Zeromus with 2 nukes. That is a really, really strong approach. Hey, and a free Ogre Axe.
Oh, well, there you go.
Very bold. I don't think Dingley went in and turned encounters off.
I admit I was staring straight at Dingley's screen and still didn't see it, so props to me, I suppose.
1 million XP is enough for pretty much everyone, right? I believe so. I think it's hovering around the 1 million mark that you need on Rydia to get her to nuke. I don't know the exact numbers offhand, but generally, yeah, if you're getting 1 million experience, you're pretty good to go.
Yeah. Yeah, the mill seems to be the benchmark, and looks like Dingley is going to go after cave value to see if it does indeed have value today.
And just to keep the divergence alive, yeah, even though he's also diving the moon, is going the complete opposite direction here. So this is great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, between our runners, eventually we're going to run out of places for them to check. And so essentially now the question is, which of them is more correct about the location of that rat tail?
Yes, that's basically the question of the hour here. Wouldn't it be hilarious if that rat tail's behind CPU and the Feymarks the whole time?
Oh my heavens. Oh dear. If that's the case, we might be here for a little bit longer. Alright, so it looks like on the second attempt from Zilch, those blink strats are very much in play, so it looks like he's had a much better time getting this one set up.
Yeah, this is really good to see. The only threatening thing Volvalis can do damage-wise are physical attacks. So having everybody blinked like this means everybody's going to be safe. You just keep those blinks rolling. So yeah, this looks like, even though it might be a bit of a slog, he's still in a pretty safe position.
Yeah. Meanwhile, looks like we're finding the Kaipo guards up here at Cave Value.
That is a very, very free fight. And hey, those coffins from Sheila are finally coming into use here.
Hey!
Who said she didn't have the goods?
It just was a delayed value goods. Also, Excalibur Cecil doing Excalibur Cecil things.
Yeah, that is what he's wont to do. Loading up a stone spell here from Palom. This might just flat out end the fight, as long as it hits. And it doesn't. Ooh. How about Rydia's? Rydia's does. Oh my goodness! Stone Dingley pulls the rat tail. He's in go mode.
Cave value, everybody.
Always value in Cave Bahamut. And now it is a rush. He has got to get to the end of the seed. He is in good position to fight Zeromus. He's got to get through this fight, but if he does, he could potentially pull even in this series and draw out a game 3. This is going to be good.
Oh boy. Oh, now the anxiety is on Zilch's side because we know where the rat tail is. He doesn't. And this long Volvalis fight is maybe will provide another key item, but it's not going to be the key item he needs.
Yeah, we know where everything is here that could potentially end the seed, and Zilch is just in the wrong place. Yep. It was that pull of the package Odin was so huge but just was not able to build anything on top of it. And a Stone Dingley has just clawed his way back into this. Is just going to do some shopping here and prepare for this Zeromus fight. Not some shopping, actually. He's got to turn that rat tail in. That's right.
Oh, he might do some shopping while he's here, too.
Yeah, you're in the area, the shop. It's a nice selection of Cure 3s we have. Potion seller going into battle. I need your finest Cure 3s.
And Star Veils.
Yes, and Star Veils. Hey, how about a White Spear for Kane on top of it?
I was about to say, and a nice stick for Kane to just kind of compliment the package.
We just were talking about that Avenger glitch. The White Lance is a wonderful item to Avenger glitch with. You get to keep the attack damage of the White Spear and the Auto Berserk of the Avenger. It is like a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup, the best of both worlds.
Mm-hmm. Drat you, now I'm hungry. And that song's still in my head.
I'm just ruining your day, aren't I?
Oh, not at all. You are making it a great deal of fun.
But yeah, putting that Dwarf Axe on Cecil, that is going to nerf his agility down to where roughly he wants. I believe that's going to put him at or close to that 28 agility breakpoint. That is where you kind of want to leave your Cecil at. You don't want to go any faster than that, or else Zeromus is going to bump up in relative agility. The nice thing about that is now that his agility is set, he can switch to the Excalibur mid-fight. And while he'll still have that agility penalty, and it'll still keep Zeromus in place, and he'll still be able to contribute damage-wise.
Right, yeah. So Dingley is pretty well set up for this Z fight. And speaking of Z fight, we have Z flags in chat.
Yeah, I am so tired. I'm glad we've got those Z's out. I'm going to take a nice nap after this, just like chat is suggesting that I do. That's what that means, right?
I was going to say, well, while Smapety is taking a nap, whose butt we kicking tonight, y'all?
Oh, right, butt time. It's butt time.
Meanwhile, Zilch is heading over to the Crystal Sword altar after picking up his silver apple from the Ogo spot, and oh dear.
Yeah, that is not the most fun consolation prize to get from such an annoying fight.
No.
Yeah, we have seen several fantastic forms of the Destroyer so far this tournament. I am excited to see which one of the 450 plus sprites that we have as an alternative for Zeromus. The majority of which have been made again by resident artist Scala Kitty. Who is also responsible for the overlays and all the art assets and the alternate fab color palettes, and making sure we get a balanced breakfast every morning. She does it all. Ooh, I like this one.
Looking good, Ultimacia. Looking good.
Ultimius. I know Ultimacia is a favorite character of Scala Kitty herself, so I'm sure she's going to be excited to see this as well. And also, Commander Leonhardt in chat. And Cecil already starting off with some incredible damage there while everybody else sort of gets loaded up. Looks like we're going to see straight up hybrid strats here, since we've got 2 strong melee fighters and 2 mages.
Meanwhile, on Zilch's side, he gets to deal with a not terribly fun Antlion going punchy punch on everybody.
Yeah, Antlion is such a simple boss, but sometimes the simplest bosses can be the most deadly. Put him in a spot with high physical damage, and all of a sudden his punches are going to hit hard, his counterattacks are going to hit hard, and he becomes a real nuisance. And the reflected nukes coming out on Stone Dingley's side, hitting that damage cap.
Wow. Casual quad 9s on nuke. You love to see it if you're the runner.
Yeah, we've got both a Stardust Rod and a Charm Rod, I believe, in play. So both of those black mages have incredibly high wisdom stats. So we're going to be seeing some big numbers flying from those nukes.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Probably won't be too worried about big bangs. It would actually surprise me if we see another big bang at this point with the amount of damage going out.
Yeah, with the hybrid strats, it seems to be kind of, even if you see another big bang with the straight out reflect strats rather, if you have 3 or 4 reflectors just going completely ham, then the likelihood is fairly low that you're going to see another big bang. But with this, depends on how much damage the meleeers are dealing out as to whether they can surmount that HP refill quickly enough to avoid a second big bang.
Yeah, exactly. One of the advantages that Hybrid has is the way that the game handles attack queuing or turn queuing. If your characters are berserked, it sort of clogs up the ATB queue a little bit. Since the computer is not only putting in your attacks for you, but also the enemies, you tend to get a little bit of priority there, and it can delay the enemy a bit. So that's one of the advantages of that Berserk spell. It's not just the increased damage, but the fact that your turns come out a little quicker than they might ordinarily.
Right. Yeah, and we're seeing Dingley put it to good effect here because both Cecil and Kane are nicely berserked. So all he's really having to worry about is watching the flash and the GGs.
GG's indeed. That was a quick fight. Just seeing the one big bang, and Stone Dingley has taken the win in match 2 of this series, tied it up, and we're going to a sudden death match. GG's indeed.
Yes, GG Dingley. So congratulations on his end. Yeah, we get to see a game 3.
And not only that, but that's Dingley's joined us. So congratulations, Dingley. Way to go in tying this match up.
Whew, thank you so much. That was a fun one.
Yeah, it was a fun one to watch, too. This was the second match from you two in a row where we have seen completely separate roads to Zeromus, taking different objectives. Can you walk us through sort of your how you routed this, what decisions you decided to make when certain key items showed up?
Oh, gosh. It's one of those things where, like, you're so focused on the seed, you kind of forget how it started. But, you make all the standard plays. You start looting, start checking. I think there was a point there where I had to go. It was either go into Baron or go through Baron Inn, and I was having some trouble. And the only thought I had to pick up some experience was to do Eblin, and I felt kind of silly bumping my head up against that so many times. But
did that ever pay off with that Stardust Rod, though?
Oh, yeah. I wish I'd remembered to use it as an item more often.
Well, that was you mentioned Baron, and that actually ended up being the big linchpin in the split between you two. The Odin spots, which you went in, you saw the Pale Dim, and then went on your way. That actually ended up having the package. So Zilch is going through having the package done, whereas you went the complete opposite way. Went with the adamant there. Were you completely fading Odin at that point, the Odin spot, or what was sort of your thoughts in sort of bypassing it?
Well, my first thought when I got there was I think I had 3 characters, Palom, Rydia, and Kane, and I thought this is going to be such a slog. I heard about Zilch's Galaxy Brain play with the Moon Veil. That was brilliant, but I just didn't think I could take it at that point. And then I kind of forgot about it, but I'm pretty sure I don't think I would have gone back until I had done my grind anyway, and then my first check after I did my grind was the Rat Tail, so I just got really lucky.
So also another question I had relating to not just this seed, but last night's, as chat has pointed out. So how do you feel about 2 seeds in a row with no Tellas to be found?
It was interesting. I don't know if maybe it's just me, but I was getting deja vu a couple times, seeing like some bosses at the same spot, some items at the same spots. Like I think was it Mylon at the sealed cave spot last time too?
I admit I don't remember. I had rewatched that seed last night and this morning, but I don't remember that part precisely.
Well, all I know is that this time, on my, I decided to actually do the giant grind for a change, and it paid off.
Yeah, that was a very, very quick giant grind. You actually got through that without spending a lot of time on it. Were you sort of worried at any point that about the time commitment to it? Did you sort of feel behind at any point?
Oh, constantly. I just felt like I was always so far behind. I think I left. The darkness was like my second to last check on Earth. I think after that I would have just had to go fight that CPU. And so when I finally found it, I'm like, Zilch had to have found this 20 minutes ago. At that point, I figured, well, the only thing I can hope is that he hasn't done his grind yet, and that'll help me maybe get through some extra spots.
Yeah, it did, and he didn't find the legend sword either, so that ended up working out in your favor.
Oh, yeah, and that X-Cal on Cecil, that was a great value.
Yeah, were you ever thinking about going to the character other than Cecil, and was it the X-Cal just completely changed your mind for your fifth character?
That's right. If I hadn't found that X-Cal, if I hadn't done the Forge, I would have just picked up Yang instead. He's good without items, but yeah, no, that X-Cal completely changed my calculus, and I figured I have the Dwarf Axe, I have the Cursed Ring, and I've already fought Wyvern, so why not?
I always like to see Paladins hustle and play, so I was rooting for it.
Yeah, I was going to say, though, you were also rooting for that rat tail to be behind CPU, so...
Yeah, well, okay, well, let's... Well, you've evened up the match here. It's going to be forcing a game 3 here. 2 just incredibly played matches. How are you feeling going into game 3? Are there any further adjustments you're going to make? How do you feel about how you're playing against Zilch here?
I think in our matches, a lot of it's come down to sort of just getting lucky on a couple of checks. I mean, Zilch is a really great player, so I'm always feeling like I'm behind and just going to keep trying crazy stuff. But as for our last match, I'm just going to try to take it calmly and remind myself that no matter how it goes, I put down 2 and 1 in the bracket, so I'm definitely at least getting the score right.
That you are, and yeah, you're whatever happens, you've been playing amazingly this tournament. It's been so fantastic watching you. So, best of luck. What do you know when your game 3 is scheduled for?
We talked about doing it sometime on Sunday afternoon. I'll have to check with Zilch and see for sure.
Gotcha. Well, thank you so much, Stone Dingley. Congratulations on your victory here tonight, and best of luck in game 3. You'll definitely be checking that out.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, congratulations.
That was Stone Dingley, the winner in tonight's race, evening up this best of 3 match at 1 apiece, and forcing that pivotal game 3. So very, very exciting.
Yeah, both of these runners have been doing an excellent job in both matches and throughout the tournament in regards to their strategy and showing us some different ways to play the game and different ways to go about achieving the same things, as we've seen divergent paths to go mode in both of their matches so far. So it's been quite a treat to watch. So yeah, definitely props to both of them.
Yeah, it's always fantastic to see in these objective-based matches when runners take completely different routes to completing those objectives. The sort of X objectives out of Y is one of the newer features of the Free Enterprise Randomizer. So it's really great getting to see that taken to its extent and seeing just how much that can mix a race up.
All right, looks like Zilch has found his rat tail and has gotten his levels for his characters. So he ended up not really needing to do a grind. He just seems to have grinded off of the moon bosses.
Yeah, when I'm running a seed, that's how I prefer to do. If I can avoid a grind at all, I always like to. There are a lot of advantages to doing a grind whenever you're able to. But if you're able to curtail all of that extra time spent and just get the natural experience, especially since some of those boss spots on the moon just give so much experience, that always feels like a more efficient use if you can get through those bosses quickly, like Zilch has here.
Right. Yeah, and the chat mentioning, asking about what Antlion gave. I believe Antlion gave the Dragoon shield as its prize, so a very fair prize indeed.
And we're going to turn that rat tail in here. Zilch is going to enjoy his second white spear, having gotten another one from the Pale Dim spot.
Well, at the very least, he'll be... No, I'm not sure about happy, but he'll at least be content knowing that he is good to go. He's got the levels that he needs on pretty much all of his characters, so I think it'll just be a beeline to Z, and I don't anticipate Zilch having a lot of trouble with this fight.
Yeah, no need to mess around with anything else. Just let's go trigger time compression and end the succession of witches, or whatever that game was about.
Curse you, seeds.
Curse you, seeds. And it looks like he did end up leveling that Yang up, so not using him as just a raw anchor. Not quite as high level as the rest of his party, but still high enough that he's going to be doing decent damage. I don't know what his agility looks like at this level, but he's keeping him in the middle, so it must be at a comfortable place for him.
Yeah. It looks like he's taking a little bit of time to make sure that things are exactly as he wants them, which, I mean, it's fair because, of course, we're seeing 15-minute delays, but the 15 minutes are the same on both sides. So he's already seen the dot done from Dingley. So now he's effectively free to prosecute this race in whatever manner he chooses. So
yeah, and no matter how powerful a team you get, Zeromus is still Zeromus. There is always the potential of a wipe here of things going badly. Big Bang can roll very, very high if you get unlucky, and there's always the chance of the nasty Big Bang into medio phase that has wiped many an unsuspecting player. So by no means is the Zeromus fight ever free.
Right. And I was going to say, you can add me to the list of the runners who've been just blindsided by that lovely combination.
This very tournament had happened more than a few times to me. So.
Oh, yeah. I'm not at all surprised. I mean, Z has gotten plenty of chances to visit that combo on unsuspecting runners or even suspecting runners, and I suspect that the Big Bad has enjoyed that a few times. All right, so just from looking at that single shake from Z, I think his agility is pretty much where he wants it to be, or at least agility / the battle speed. So yeah, I think he's in pretty good shape as far as this goes.
Yeah, this should be relatively comfortable. Setting up that Star Veil on Kane so his black mages can just go right into their casting. He might just be going for full-on reflect strats here.
It could very well be, yeah. I didn't see him switch any Avengers over, so yeah, he may just be going for straight reflect.
It would make a lot of sense. He doesn't have that Excalibur Cecil that Stone Dingley had, so he doesn't have as high a degree of physical strength that his opponent did. So yeah, just relying straight on the mages, I think this is probably the best way to go with this team.
Yeah. One thing that's interesting, I noticed that he did not have Nuke on Rydia, so he didn't quite get as much experience to be able to get her to that level. I think it was just one level short.
Yeah, it is very difficult to get Rydia to Nuke unless you're doing a straight-up grind on her. She takes somewhere in the realm of 1 million total experience to get to that point of being able to cast Nuke. It's one of her biggest disadvantages is she's very hard to take in the late game because of that. So yeah, unless you do a specific grind like we saw Stone Dingley do, it can be really, really hard to get there. As we saw doing basically the entire moon with double experience, and she still didn't get it.
Right. I was going to say, it looks like he is actually using his cane to do, I believe he may, I couldn't quite tell if he was going to have his cane do direct damage. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, you're safe to do a couple of attacks at the beginning when you're doing reflex strats. You don't want to do them when you're getting close to the end, because then there's a chance that the physical attack pushes into phase 2 rather than skipping the HP refill that you want to do. But early on, no reason not to just have your physical attackers plinking away, just to get you a little bit closer when you're not in danger of going past that point.
Yeah. Well, that's another way in which these runners are definitely, they're very well learned and established, because they know those numbers. I would suspect many of them know those numbers by heart and are able to get that count in accordingly to line up physical attacks right up to the edge.
Yeah, absolutely. There, some runners will even do what we call unicorn strats, where they will actually berserk their physical fighters to get more damage out of them. And then when they're getting close to that point, they'll use the unicorn item, which is the only item in the game. In fact, I believe it's the only method in the game to actually remove the berserk status. And then they'll be able to just use spellcasting to get there and get the proper HP refill skip. So we haven't seen that strategy as much as of late, but it's definitely one that got some prominence a while back.
Yeah. I'm actually glad you mentioned that specifically, because I had seen that put into effect once or twice, and I suppose I wasn't... Well, it may have been that I wasn't listening closely enough to the explanations that whoever was doing the commentary was explaining, or it could have been that I had no freaking clue what they were talking about at the time, so I had no frame of reference in which to put such a discussion into context. But that makes a lot more sense now that you mention it, and now that I have some idea of what I'm doing.
And down goes Ultimus. Does get the proper HP refill skip there to cut that fight in half. And Zilch is through with an official time of 2 hours, 3 minutes, 48 seconds. GG's to Zilch on a very, very textbook fight there.
Yeah, GG's Zilch. And we are joined by Zilch. GG, Zilch.
Thank you.
So yeah, second race in a row with Stone Dingley where you both took wildly different objective paths to the end there. How do you sort of feel about the routing overall?
I don't dislike my routing. I just like how it turned out. So heading to the moon, I guess that's probably where the big divergence happened. I knew there was at least the dark imps left and the Baron guard or Kaipo guards. I had an hourglass and a bunch of coffins, so I figured I would go. I'd probably find a free flight. I'd get all the experience I needed, and everything would go well. Unfortunately, the free fight was in the last place I looked, and while I was there, I figured I would just do it all and find nothing while I'm there. So, yeah, I don't dislike how I routed it. I just dislike how it turned out. But, you know, that's how it is with a rando.
Yeah, well, rando will definitely rando at times, but yeah, you going down to the moon, it was, definitely you decided to go ahead and just kind of take care of all the checks that you could find, which is understandable considering how many key item checks are up there. But yeah, like you said, it just didn't work out ultimately. And you mentioned that of course, your payoff was the last one, and it was indeed the first spot on the moon that Stone Dingley checked and got that rat tail and was kind of off to the races from there. But yeah, otherwise, you did really, really well. The run through Eblin, which you had started your seed last night out with, paid pretty good dividends for you at the beginning. And for much of the race, you were, it's difficult to say precisely who would have been ahead or behind at any point. But yeah, it seemed like you were getting a lot of the right checks, especially being able to get through that Odin fight early with the Moonveil, which everybody, I was certainly applauding that because I hadn't seen that really done before. And chat was very much singing your praises for that strat because you were able to push through. And as it turns out, you were able to get payment from that Odin Throne really early.
Yeah, unfortunately that doesn't really pay off unless you get the rest of Go mode.
Yeah.
And or if the package character could have been someone useful. But, I think I was actually doing the package when I did was a mistake, because then I couldn't get to Kaipo without having to sit through a cutscene. So when I got the Sand Ruby, I don't even know who was in the bed, but it could have been someone useful. And I don't know if the exit items were in there or not, but
sort of playing off of that with the characters, you sort of didn't really commit to a final party till very long into the seed. Can we kind of get your thoughts on sort of party building and what you were thinking as far as the characters you were offered and what you were maybe looking for?
I would have taken more Palums. Can never have too many of those. Those I would have taken. And I probably would have taken some edges. So one of those three would probably be what I was looking for. Worst case, maybe I got Iridia, and maybe I considered doing some slingshot grind for her. But my top priorities were there: the Palums, Roses, and edges.
Gotcha. Well, we're going to be going into Game 3 in this series. It's been 2 fantastic matches already. How are you feeling about this third game? Are you looking to make any adjustments? Are there anything you've picked up about how your opponent plays that you might incorporate? What's kind of your general thoughts there?
I think I'm happy with how I've been playing, so I want to stick with it. I probably won't make any significant changes. I mean, to be fair, I prefer the Notellas in the seeds, but that automatically drastically changes the way the seed plays out. I mean, for the better, in my opinion, but so it's hard to say how you'll play if there is a Tella in the seed, considering it's a very different game at that point. But yeah, Dingley's really good, so no matches are free. It's going down to Game 3, and honestly, it's like a coin flip who'll win, but I don't really have any specific strategies to use against him. I'm just gonna play it and see what happens.
Awesome. Well, you put on a heck of a show here tonight. It was a pleasure watching your race. Didn't quite pan out, but really excited about match 3 here and seeing how this series turns out. So thanks so much for joining us tonight, Zilch, and good luck in your next race.
Thank you. Thanks for the commentary, guys, and tracking and restreaming. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good night.
Good night.
And that was Zilch taking second in tonight's race, which evens up the series. Look forward to the payoff match between these two. We will get the information out on when that will be as soon as that's scheduled. But as far as that goes, I believe that is going to do it for us tonight. But don't go anywhere, because we have got more Free Enterprise action coming at you right now. We're going to send you over to the Free Enterprise channel itself. We've got Game 2 of PK4787 versus Flurry 14 going on over there. Possible elimination match just like this one here. So definitely want to check that. And boy, I'm really excited about that one. Or, how about you?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, especially elimination matches are great drama. Make sure everybody to give your runners a follow. Thank you to Smake D and Jofus and Asuka, who are helping us out on the back end. Don't spoil anything. Don't spoil our race. Just have fun in theirs. And thank you guys for tuning in to Randomania 4. It's been a grand time, and I hope everybody has a great night.
Take care, everyone.